Hello and welcome to the ePro Vendor Catalog webinar. Thank you for taking the time today to focus on this very important topic. My name is Troy Howell. I'll be facilitating this webinar today. Catherine Wright and Tim Ryan will be serving as moderators to help assist with any issues. We also have consultant Chris Valentine and business analyst Sandy Worrell here with us to help answer your questions. We have half an hour scheduled for this webinar. The presentation will be about 20 minutes, and then we will dedicate the time at the end for questions and answers. We will take questions at the end. You can use the chat window to enter your questions. You can also use the chat window anytime if you are having problems viewing or hearing this webinar. We will monitor this window throughout the presentation, and we will answer the questions in the order they were received during the Q&A segment. We know some of you have gathered as a group to listen to this presentation. It might be helpful to designate a person to type any questions your group might have. Also note that a recording of this webinar will be posted on the CC Info website. The business rules that apply to vendor catalog orders have not changed. You should still create a vendor catalog order whenever you are ordering supplies, repairs, or maintenance from a vendor that is listed in the catalog. Vendor catalog orders cannot exceed $5,000. If you need to make a purchase from a vendor listed in the catalog for an amount that exceeds $5,000, create a purchase requisition instead. Though the ePro 9.1 vendor catalog process will be very similar to the existing vendor catalog process, there are a few key changes that you need to be aware of. First, the vendor catalog menu will be accessed from the ConnectCarolina portal. Second, after you have submitted your order from a vendor's website back to ePro, the screens will look different than they do today. The third key change is that instead of charging the lines of the order to an FRS account and object code, you will charge it to a chart field string. Because of these changes, it is important to watch the ConnectCarolina 101 CBT and the Chart Fields 101 CBT before creating your first vendor catalog order. Before we look at the system demo, I want to point out when you try to create your first order, the system will prompt you to enter some default values. This information becomes the default values for all future purchase requisitions and vendor catalog orders. The required fields are location set ID, which is UNCCH or UNCGA, location, phone number, GL unit, which is UNCCH, UNCGA, or a foundation, and your department. All other fields are optional. These values can be changed from requisition to requisition. Let's go through the process of placing an order from one of the vendors listed in the catalog. I will be using a test system today. For instructions on how you will sign in to the real system after go live, please watch the ConnectCarolina 101 computer-based training. So bear with me just for a moment as I share my desktop and sign in. Okay, so I'm going to sign in to this test environment. Okay, so I'm going to navigate to the following menu path in order to place a vendor catalog order. I'm going to go to Main Menu, Finance Menu, e-procurement, and then create requisition. This is where I'll see the vendor catalogs that I have access to. And I'm going to place a test order today from Staples. So I'm going to click on the Staples link. And then I'll be brought out to their catalog. So this won't be any different than it is today. You'll just shop the vendor's catalog just as you do today. And in this case, I'm going to order a couple items here. So I'm going to search for an item that I want to order, and then I'm going to change the quantity. So let's say I want to order 3, and I'm going to add it to my cart, and then I'm going to continue shopping to order another line item. I'm going to order pens, and let's say I want to order 2. Okay, I'm going to add it to my cart. Again, this is the same as it is today, just shopping the vendor's catalog. And then I've got my 2 items in my cart. I'm ready to check out. And I'm going to go on and submit the items from the vendor's catalog, and it's going to take me back into ePro. Okay, so now I'm back here in ePro, and I've got a couple options. Okay, so I can name the requisition. That's an optional field. And then the other things that I want to show you right now is how to enter in the chart fields. So I've got a couple options. One option is to pull up a particular line. So I could expand the first line by clicking on this arrow to the left. And then actually the chart fields are entered in on this Chart Fields 2 tab. So if I click on this Chart Fields 2, this is where anything that I've entered on that requester setup that I showed you right before I logged in with the defaults, it's going to show up here. For example, I've got my department in there. And then the account actually pulls in from the item that I ordered in the vendor's catalog. The account will default in, and that's similar to the object code today. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to enter in a chart field string just for one item. So I've got a fund here that I would like to enter. And I just type it in. So I'm going to use 20110. And then I've got a source here. 1, 2, 0, 0, 1. And then the account number, that's going to default in. So let's say that I don't want to change it, but I could change it. If I change it to another account that's appropriate, I could type that in as well. And I could also change the department. So let me show you how to do that. It defaults in to my department in my requester setup, but I can type in a new department number if I want to. So in this case, I want to use 350100. And once you start typing a couple digits, it'll show you the choices from the drop-down. So you can either keep typing or just click from the drop-down. So that's how to change the chart field for one line. In the online help, we're going to go on and mention how to change the chart field string, how to charge one line to multiple strings by clicking this plus button. So we'll cover that in online help, but I just want to mention that it is available to charge this one line to as many chart field strings as you want. You can break it up that way. But let's say that you have a lot of lines and you don't want to go in one by one as we did and put in the chart field string for each line, like for example line 2. I could go to this chart field 2 and type in that string. But there's also a place where you can do it for the entire order just one time. So the easiest way to do that is to select all of the lines. So I'm going to click this select all checkbox, or I could manually check these. And then I'm going to go to modify line shipping accounting. Okay, if I go to modify line shipping accounting, I can go in here and put in a fund, a source, even an account or a department. It's going to override whatever is listed on the line. For example, if I just put in a fund and hit apply, it's going to override whatever is in my fund box for all the chart fields. Also, my ship to address is going to default in based on what I put in my defaults the first time I sign in, but I can have it shipped somewhere else if I wanted to by using this ship to, so I can look it up. And I could start typing, I could go to description contains, and let's say I want it shipped to the administrative office building. I could type in a few letters of my building and hit look up, and then I could just scroll down until I find wherever I want it to ship to. But let me type in a fund to show you how to do a string here. So the fund, I'm going to do 22193 for the source 14001. Let's say I want to leave the accounts as they are because they have defaulted in from the vendor's catalogs items. Then I've got a department that I'd like to use, 101. Okay, if I hit the apply button, it's going to ask me if I want to do it for all lines, and I choose yes. I'd like it to replace all the lines with this string. If I hit OK, then just to show you, if I pull up one of the lines to expand it, the only way to go to check is to expand the line, like I did, go to Chart Filter 2, and notice that it's changed it. So it's changed it for every line. I could go look line by line. And I could also enter some comments here for the header right here, and I could check one of these boxes, send to vendor, show it receipt, show it voucher, approval, justification. And just keep in mind that all vendors will not necessarily read these comments. Just like today, you've got that option, but it doesn't mean they're going to read it. So you might need to contact your vendor if you have instructions for them. And I could enter in a line comment by going right here and clicking on this kind of the cloud, and I could enter whatever line comment. And I could choose send to vendor, show it receipt, or show it voucher if I wanted to. I could click OK. And then if I've got a valid chart field string and it's got some money on it, then some budget, then I'm actually ready to go. So what I could do is I could save and preview approvals. Let's say I wasn't ready to submit it, but I'd like to just save and preview, see who the approvers are. In this case, my department has approvals, but sometimes there aren't approvals for a department. It'll just go to the vendor every hour. But in this case, I've just saved it. But I'd like to check the budget by clicking Check Budget. And if I don't get any error messages after I click Check Budget and this thing stops spinning up here, that means that the string is valid and that there is money on the string. So I'm not going to get a message saying it's okay. It's just no error means that it's fine. Okay, so I didn't get any error. That means it's a valid string. Means I've got budget. So now let me show you how to submit it. You just click this button, Submit. And it is good to check the budget on the front end before you submit it just to make sure that you have the money there. Now I have submitted it, and I can always go to Manage Requisition. Oh, and I've got a number here. Here's my rec number right here. It starts with a 1, and it's pending approvals. I could click here to look at the approvers. If there are no approvals, it'll go to the vendor. So I'm going to go to Manage Rec, and this is where you can see and work with previously created requisitions. Okay, so here's this one, and it's pending and valid. So I could go in and I could do some things with it here on the Manage Rec page. So that's what I wanted to show you in my demo. So bear with me as I get back to the PowerPoint. Just one second. Okay, so we're back in the PowerPoint, and let me navigate on. Okay, so this brings us to the conclusion of what I wanted to show in today's webinar. Remember that the key changes are that the vendor catalog menu will be accessed from the ConnectCarolina portal. After you have submitted your order from a vendor's website back to ePro, the screens will look different than they do today. Instead of charging the lines of the order to an FRS account and object code, you will charge it to a chart field string. Visit ccinfo.unc.edu/training to see several related computer-based trainings, including the Ordering from the ePro Vendor Catalog CBT, the Ordering Software from ITS Software Acquisition through ePro CBT, and both of those are coming soon. And then these are both out there, the Chartfields 101 CBT and the ConnectCarolina 101 CBT. Okay, now we're going to address questions that you have. So feel free to submit questions in the chat menu, and Chris, Sandy, and I will do our best to answer them for you. Okay, so the first question is, do I have to use Internet Explorer?
Mozilla, and you can use Chrome. And on the Connect Carolina portal page.
Okay, so the question was about, do I have to use Internet Explorer?
And the answer is no. You can use Internet Explorer, Mozilla, and Chrome. On the Connect Carolina portal page, there's going to be some comments about what IE versions they're having issues with, but right now everything's working.
Okay. Let's see, we had some more questions come in. Does the fund check if that account will cover the order, or just if there is a positive balance? I believe it checks, Sandy, you can say, but I believe it checks to make sure that there's money on that chart field string.
That is correct.
So it's going to check that chart field string and make sure that there's budget on that.
Yes, if the budget status goes to valid, then that order is good and it's going to be processed. If it goes to error, it's going to let you know what the issue is.
Okay, here's another question. How do we prevent charges being charged to our account by unauthorized people? Well, one way is some departments have approvals for vendor catalog orders. So if you have approvals turned on for your order, then you can make sure that it's a valid purchase.
That's correct.
Is there a super user role that has the ability to set defaults for other users in the same department? Thanks.
The MOU.
I believe that Chris, do you want to talk about that one?
Yes, there's a super user role. If that's required, I expect that it would require a remedy ticket to list the users and the default chart fields that you wanted. The request for setup today is only granted to the actual person that's logged into the system.
Okay. Does the person originating the requisition have to have the entire chart field string or just certain parts? You will need an entire chart field string in order to submit
That's correct.
the requisition.
That is correct.
So whether it can either be in your defaults where you set it up with a string that you want to use, where you go on and put in your fund and source, or you'll have to type it in right there.
And another quick way to get that done is through the use of speed charts. If you happen to use a project, I know that specifically for the med school, a lot of requesters will have the option to use the speed charts, which are going to be keyed by project. The project will list your entire chart string, with the exception of
account.
Of account, yes, which is done by the category code.
Right, that defaults in the account. Okay, let's see. A couple more questions. Okay, if a requester, well again, this was a similar question. If a requester uses my funding, will the request route to me for approval? So is it based on
Only
department?
if it's departmental approval. It's the approval set up for the department.
So if you have departmental approval turned on and someone uses a string that's associated with your department, then it will go to you for approval, if and only if you have approvals turned on for vendor catalog.
That's correct.
And it's up to each MOU lead to decide whether they want or not want to have approvals for the vendor catalog.
And who is going to be the approvers for their department.
And to set up their own approvers. Okay. Can the search option be defaulted to contains rather than begins with? I think that's a customization that.
It is a customization, but instead of just clicking the drop down and choosing contains, you can do the wildcard in the description field and do the % sign and then type in the % sign does the same thing as contains.
Okay. Can the approver change the fund and source code at the time of approval? I believe they can go in and change the requisition.
Yes, they can. If they change it, they're also going to have to go back and recheck budget checking because it resets once something is changed, it resets the workflow approval routing. And so you've got to go back and click check budget again.
Okay, and this was a similar question. I think it goes along with something we've talked about, but I don't need a approval now. Will that change? That's up to your MOU lead whether you'll have approvals or not for your vendor catalog. So you'll need to check with them if you're not sure if you have them. We'll try to talk at a volume where you can hear us. Someone commented about that. Do we need to do any other training to be sure to have access to do this? There is going to be a CBT and there's going to be online help, but I don't believe that's required for you to have access.
No.
So no.
Not for vendor catalog.
Not for the vendor catalog portion. When do we need to start using the new system? Well, they're going to cut off the old system starting.
Vendor catalog will be cut off Friday, September 26th. October 1 is our go-live date. If there's issues with a vendor on the vendor catalog website, we will have something on the portal letting you know. I will be placing production pilot orders on the weekend of September 27th. So I will be working the bugs out with these vendors, trying to have everything ready for October 1.
So October 1 is when the new system will go live.
That is correct.
Will our current roles or access filter over to the new system?
No.
Not necessarily.
There's
a new model.
Yes. The business managers have been working with security to set everybody in their department's access. Someone asked about how to log into the system. That's actually covered in a different webinar. A different CBT. That's covered in the Connect Carolina 101 CBT. But really, to sign in, you just go into the portal. So you can go to the. There's a lot of ways to get to the portal. What's the easiest way you think, Sandy? You mean
just to sign into the system? You go to it's a link on the UNC website, unc.edu. That's one way to get to Connect Carolina. You just sign in,
right, and
then you either follow the menu path or you click on the. Is there a vendor catalog option?
No, you would have to.
Then you follow the menu path, which is main menu, finance menu, e-procurement, create requisition. So, but if you want to know just how to get signed in general to Connect Carolina, you'll need to watch that Connect Carolina 101 CBT. Okay. Okay, we've already talked about that search one. No, this webinar. Someone asked if you don't take this webinar, will you not have access to submit recs? No, this webinar doesn't have anything to do with giving you access. This is just so you can learn what's different in the system. This is optional. You do not have to take this. If you were late to this webinar, we're going to offer another one, And we also have some other webinars for other topics, and that's on that CC Info website. Will the small order process continue, or will we use the voucher system?
In the new system, it's going to be called Campus Voucher. Campus Voucher replaces the small order process, payment request, and check request.
Okay, what happens on a contract trust where you have a negative balance until you receive your payments in and you need to check for funding? Are orders going to be allowed? Assume if you don't have
If you do not have
budget.
If you do not have budget, you're going to have to use a different chart field, and you'll have to do an account adjustment or a journal voucher at a later date.
Okay. Where do I find an ordering software for ITS software CBT through ePro? Yeah, that's going to be on the CC Info site that I showed, ccinfo.unc.edu/training, and then under the CBT section. Right now it's listed as coming soon because it's still being developed, but it should be ready soon. So that will show you how to actually go through the software acquisition process. Can I demo another vendor besides Staples? Well, all of the vendors should look the same as they each do today. So if you're in the Grainger catalog, nothing's going to change once you go out to that catalog. Okay, we'll have Sandy talk louder. Sorry.
I have never been asked to talk louder. Sorry.
Where can I find the CBTs? Again, that's under ccinfo.unc.edu/training. Can we process orders over $5,000 in ePro? I believe that's a no.
That is no. If you want to place an order for something that's greater than $5,000 using a vendor catalog vendor, you have to process it on a regular purchase requisition.
Right. So you would choose one of that vendor, in this case Apple, but you do it on a regular purchase requisition. That's a Train the Trainer class. There's a class about purchase recs. Is the new voucher system for smaller process associated with ePro?
No. E-procurement in the new world is only vendor catalog, the punch-out vendors, and the regular purchase requisitions.
Okay, we talked about this earlier, I believe, with browsers. Can I use Safari as my browser?
I don't know. I don't have access to Safari. Chris?
I expect that you will be able to. PeopleSoft does support the Safari browser. There will be a listing of
accepted browsers on the ConnectCarolina portal information, the home page.
That's correct. The one thing that we are asking users is to uncheck, depending on what for any browser that they're using, to uncheck the option to automatically update their browsers. We're gonna be very specific about which browsers will work with the PeopleSoft system. And if you update and get out of sync, you may have issues going forward. Okay, a question came in about FedEx. Is FedEx still going to be, can you still get to the FedEx site for ePro just like today?
Yes, it's still a link, and all it does is it links you to the FedEx system. It does not have anything to do with PeopleSoft. It will remain the same. You'll just have to use your new chart fields on that. Okay, if I missed anybody's question, can you please type it in again? Yes, there is. Here's a question about chart field string training. Yes, there's a chart field 101 CBT. And also, we're asking all the MOUs, and hopefully they've been doing this, to communicate with their staff about the changes in the chart field string and how the chart field string will apply to you, because each area is a little bit different. Some are going to use cost code, some are not going to use cost code. But yes, there's that chart field 101 CBT out there right now. What's the difference between fund and account? Account is what used to be the object code. That is correct.
And fund, do you have a good definition for fund? That's like your funding source almost.
Yes, the fund and the source takes the place of the first 6 characters in your old accounting structure in FRS.
So here's a question. Is the only change to ePro to add the chart fields? That's the main change.
That, we have software acquisitions now as a vendor.
That's through ePro.
Software acquisition is always going to require departmental approval. The other change is you can distribute the order to as many funding lines as you want. We were limited to 6 because of FRS. That's no longer an issue.
And obviously it's going to be accessed through ConnectCarolina now. You won't access it the way you do right now after Go Live. You have to go through the ConnectCarolina portal. I'm not sure about this question under what heading. Is chart field training? It's I think it's if you're in the CVTs, I think it's in the first group there, or maybe it's under general. It might be under. There's 2 under general: the 101 and the chart fields. Oh, this is saying, is it going to be on the left? Is it going to be a menu option on the left?
Oh, it's finance.
It will be under finance.
Yes.
If we previously just filled out the vendor supplies, but our business office was the one that approved the order account number, then we don't do anything for the chart fields, correct?
No.
That's not how it's going to be. There's not a way to submit it.
You can't save it without the complete chart field.
Without a string. So you'll need to talk to your department to figure out what your process is. Whether you'll have to know the string or whether someone else will be doing the ordering. So it looks like that we've reached 2:30, so I appreciate the questions. And we're going to post the recording on the same place where the webinars are, cceinfo.unc.edu under the webinar section. So thank you. And the slides are also posted out there too.